Welcome to today's deep dive. AI is something we hear about constantly these days. It seems like AI is everywhere, but to be honest, it's hard to know what to believe. Between the headlines about these incredible AI breakthroughs and then those warnings about robots taking over, it's easy to get lost in all the hype without really understanding what AI is and what it can and can't do. So to try and figure this all out, we're going to take a deep dive into an episode of the AI Vision podcast called AI Myth versus Reality. Hopefully we can separate fact from fiction and get a better picture of this really game-changing technology. So the podcast starts off by defining AI. And they make a really interesting point. They say that AI isn't this single all-knowing entity like we often see in movies. Instead, AI is more like a collection of different technologies, each with its own strengths and limitations, which I think is a really important point because it reminds us that AI isn't like magic. It's something that humans are building and shaping. And that means, we have a responsibility to understand it and use it wisely. One of the biggest myths the podcast tackles is the idea that AI is conscious or sentient, like it can think and feel like a human. It's a fascinating idea, right? But the reality is that AI, at least for now, is nowhere near that level of sophistication. What AI is really good at is recognizing patterns in huge amounts of data and then using those patterns to generate outputs like text or predictions. Like think about those chatbots that are so popular now, like ChatGPT. They can hold these amazingly coherent conversations and even write different creative text formats. But they're essentially playing a complex game of prediction based on the massive amount of text data they've been trained on. So while it might seem like they understand what they're saying, it's more like a super advanced autocomplete. They're not really grasping the meaning or context in the way that humans do. That's a point I hadn't really considered before. Now, another widespread myth the podcast debunks is that AI is going to steal all our jobs and leave us with nothing to do. That's a fear that a lot of people have, and it's understandable given how quickly AI is developing. But the AI Vision podcast makes this really compelling argument that AI is actually creating new job opportunities, especially in fields that involve working directly with AI. Like, for example, there's AI training, where people teach these systems how to do what they do, and data analysis, where people help make sense of the massive amounts of data that AI relies on. There's also this really cool field called prompt engineering, which basically involves crafting the perfect prompts to get the best result out of AI tools. So instead of seeing AI as this threat, maybe we can view it as an opportunity to learn new skills and adapt to the changing job market.
One thing that really stuck with me from the podcast is how they talked about the myth of AI being objective. There's this idea that because AI is a machine, it must be free from bias and make decisions based solely on logic and data. But the reality is a bit more complicated than that. They pointed out that AI systems can actually inherit the biases that exist in the data they're trained on, which, makes sense when you think about it.
These systems are learning from data that's created by humans. And humans are inherently biased, whether it's conscious or unconscious. Our biases can creep into the data we create. And that can lead to AI systems that perpetuate those same biases in their outputs. So an AI trained on biased data could end up making unfair or discriminatory decisions, which is obviously a huge concern. This really highlights the need for more diversity and representation in the field of AI, so that the people building these systems are aware of these biases and can work to mitigate them. It's a bit like if you only ever read books by authors from one background, your view of the world would be pretty limited. You need those different perspectives to get a more complete and accurate understanding. It's the same with AI. We need diverse teams building these systems to make sure they're fair and equitable for everyone. Now let's talk about the myth that AI is all hype and no substance. Sure, there's a lot of buzz around AI, but to say it's all just smoke and mirrors is just plain wrong.
The reality is that AI is already having this major impact across different industries, from healthcare to cybersecurity to marketing, and even the creative arts. One of the coolest examples from the podcast was how AI is being used in medicine to detect diseases like cancer with more accuracy and speed than traditional methods. Think about the potential there. AI could help doctors diagnose diseases earlier, leading to more effective treatments and ultimately saving lives. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. AI is also powering those personalized recommendations we see on streaming services like Netflix and Spotify, helping businesses automate tasks and improve efficiency, and even assisting artists in creating amazing new works of art. So while there's definitely still a lot of work to be done, and we need to be mindful of the ethical considerations, AI is far from a passing fad. It's a powerful tool with the potential to reshape our world in some pretty profound ways. And as the AI Vision podcast emphasizes, AI is only going to become more integrated into our lives as time goes on. So where does that leave us? What's the current state of AI and where is it headed? The podcast makes it clear that while AI is developing at this incredible pace, it's still a long way from achieving human-level intelligence. We're not talking about self-aware robots taking over the world anytime soon, thankfully. But the advancements are happening so quickly, it's hard not to get excited about where this technology is headed. Let's bring this back to our everyday lives for a moment. Think about all the ways you already interact with AI, probably without even realizing it. Those chatbots we talked about earlier, like ChatGPT, Bard, and Claude, they're becoming more and more sophisticated all the time. And then there's those virtual assistants that have become such a part of our routines, like Siri and Alexa, constantly learning and improving. And of course, there are those personalized recommendations that seem to know our tastes better than we know ourselves, whether it's suggesting videos on YouTube, movies on Netflix, or music on Spotify. AI is working behind the scenes to analyze our preferences and suggest, content we might enjoy. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. AI is woven into the fabric of our digital lives in so many ways. But what about the future? What does the AI Vision podcast predict for the world of AI? Well, they paint a picture of even more advanced conversational AI, capable of understanding and responding to our needs in ways that seem almost like human. Imagine being able to have a genuinely natural conversation with an AI, one that can grasp the subtleties of human language and, emotion. That's a pretty mind-blowing possibility. And then there's the world of AI-generated content. We're already seeing AI create music, art, and even videos, pushing the boundaries of creativity and challenging what we thought was possible. As this technology gets even more sophisticated, who knows what incredible new forms of expression we'll see emerge. The podcast also touches on the potential of AI-powered robotics and automation, which could have a huge impact on industries and maybe even the way our societies function. It's a future that's full of both incredible promise and some uncertainty, and it's something we need to approach with both curiosity and a healthy dose of caution. I don't know about you, but all this talk about the future of AI has my head spinning a bit. But that's what makes this topic so fascinating. There's so many possibilities, and it's all happening so fast. So, okay, let's take a minute and think about what we've learned. We debunked some of those big AI myths. AI isn't sentient or anything. It's not going to steal our jobs, and it doesn't magically understand, language like we do. But we've also seen how AI is already having a real impact, and that impact is only going to grow. And this brings up a thought that the AI Vision podcast touched on. This idea that we need to understand AI, not just for its technical capabilities, but also for its impact on society. As AI gets more powerful and more part of our lives, it's going to bring up all sorts of questions about ethics, fairness, responsibility. It really makes you think. This isn't just about the technology, it's about how we use it and what kind of future we want to create with it. Well, that brings our deep dive to a close. I hope this gave you a clear picture of what AI is, what it isn't,
and maybe even made you a little bit more curious about this whole world of AI. It's a world that's constantly changing. Who knows what amazing advancements we'll see in the years to come. So keep learning, keep questioning, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the topics that are shaping our world.